I am the new chairman of AAU, Indiana Track and Field and Cross Country. I took that position over from Joe Miss, who had had it for years, and he was gracious enough to recommend me for the position. Well, the reason that I am a staunch AAU supporter is from a youth standpoint. I love how they have 1 year age groups. A 9-year-old competes against 9-year-olds. 10-year-olds compete against 10-year-olds. It's not until they get to be 15 that they compete in 2-year age groups, 15, 16. So I'm a real big fan of that. And I've been a USATF member for years. I was once the USATF chair for Indiana. But I think it hurts the kids' enthusiasm when they're at the bottom of the age group and they can't compete with that kid that's almost 2 years older than them. That means something. Now, with the elite athletes, it makes them better. But there's a lot more than just elite athletes out there. Our job, my job as AAU chairman, is to make sure that we keep kids in the sport. Don't just attract them to the sport, but keep them in the sport. Because the bottom line is this: that child that might be discouraged as a 9-year-old because he can't beat 10-year-olds, that person may very well win a scholarship to college because they can compete against 10-year-olds or 9-year-olds. They can compete against 10-year-olds, and when they get older and stronger, then they can compete against older kids. Because when they get to be 15 in their high school, it's just high school. So keeping them involved in the sport, I think, helps grow the sport, and that's why I've just been such a huge proponent of AAU. From a developmental standpoint, you keep more kids in the sport, you keep more kids interested and enthusiastic about the sports, because kids don't always want to win. They don't always have to win. What they do always want is they always want to be competitive. And the way you get a kid to be not interested in the sport is if they're not competitive. We've seen kids become better and better and better, and if they just are competitive, then they're satisfied. They don't have to win. They just want to feel like they've got a chance. And that's why I've been a big proponent of AAU. And my goal with AAU is to just grow this program, grow the sport, so that we have hundreds of kids in our AAU program as opposed to having a couple of hundred kids in the AAU program. I want to have 1,000 kids at our AAU state meet. And by growing the programs, by showing them how I grew, that's how I expect to go around the state and grow other grassroots programs. I think a lot of that comes from organization. We haven't reached out to, as a group, we as AAU haven't reached out to organizations and provided venues, provided meets for them to go to. I plan to pattern a lot of what I do off of what they do in Ohio. DeCarlo Blackwell is as much as any reason why I became so enamored with AAU. And it's because of their organization. They have meets where all the Ohio people come and support those meets. They have series of meets so that when they get to nationals, they've competed against good competition and they're not overwhelmed by the people that show up. That's what I want to be able to accomplish here. I want to be able to have series of meets where we're attracting people from St. Louis, we're attracting people from Michigan and Illinois. That's when we're going to be at the level of where we're going to be able to show up at nationals, and you know, we had our biggest year at nationals. We won 6 medals. Well, a club our size, we want to go to nationals and win 26 medals. And this is how we're going to do that, is by being able to increase the competition that we face through the series to get there. And it's not always about having big meets, but you just have to be able to have good quality meets where you're facing quality opponents. And then we also need our downtime. The meet that you put on was an excellent meet where instead of it being a big meet right after our national qualifier, it allowed our kids to just kind of go have fun, stretch your legs out, and then they had their PRs at nationals. So it's just going to be a matter of just getting the quality of communication across the state, so that we're putting on meets throughout the state, and our AAU state association just gets stronger, and that's going to make our representation stronger. Marshawn Atkins wanted to bring the national qualifier to Indiana this year because it's always been Illinois. I told him, no, we're not ready yet. We need to get our state meet up to par before we take on bringing the national qualifier in. So we're going to get there, and with your help, we're definitely going to get there. Indiana Storm. Well, to be honest with you, the people that run the Storm are some great people. I absolutely love them. We compete very hard with each other, but there's distinct differences, in my opinion, of the Storm and us. They are primarily sprinters, and they specifically have a couple of sprinters that are just unbelievable. We, on the other hand, we have some unbelievable sprinters, but we also have unbelievable distance runners. We have hurdlers. We have national champion long jumpers. We have discus throwers period, discus shot. We're just a little bit more well-rounded, I think. High jumpers, I mean, we had national medalists in high jump. So we're probably the same as far as our travel teams are about the same size. I think that we present a little bit wider variety of expertise. When we do compete head-to-head, it's good competition. You know, when we competed outdoor season, our 4x1 team at the youth level beat theirs. Well, not the summer before, but the indoor season before, that same group level beat ours, and it's just great competition back and forth. I've had issues from the standpoint of I believe they recruit our athletes. They say they don't, but I believe they do. Our athletes say they recruit them. We don't recruit anybody's athletes. We develop athletes. But I'm glad they're there simply because when someone doesn't get along with us, a talented athlete still has someone that can go and work out with other talented kids. So I appreciate that competition. I enjoy that competition because, like I said, their management is just wonderful people. John and Pat Shavis, just wonderful people. I've known them for years. I thought they were brothers. Turns out they're cousins. But anyway, they're just great guys. And I appreciate being able to compete against them. And you have to have that competition of where you define yourself by, hey, here's who we are, here's what we've done. And they're the ones that are standing in the way when we go to say we're the best in the state. Fort Wayne Express is there as well, don't get me wrong. But down here in central Indiana is us and the Storm. And from a numbers standpoint, we can't compete with the Fisher's Fire. I always want to make sure I give them a plug because they're wonderful people. Wonderful people. And when we used to compete against them, it was their distance people against our sprinters. Just like now we've got distance people, they've got sprinters. So it's always going to be good for everybody if we all get better and just grow the sport. That's another good question. One of the things that I look at is I'm always trying to look at the bigger picture. Now, Carmel Stallion, just as yourself, you guys left and went and started your own program. Well, I don't view that as you being undue competition or you being taken away from my program. I look at it from the standpoint of this. As long as we can strengthen track and field as a sport, we're going to be better off in the long run. Carmel Stallion has been a great supporter of anything that we've put on. You've been a great supporter. I have a lot of plans for how, because of your daughter being as young as she is, you're going to be doing this a long time. And I have plans to be able to really grow the sport of track and field with your assistance and the reach that you have in Northwest Indiana. Even though I'm from Gary, you're a lot more recently from that area. And you have more contacts back there. And I just want to be able to work together because what I've realized is that when you are with me, you paid your daughter's fee to run with us. Now that you've left, you pay your team's fee to compete with us. So from a business standpoint, with you out there growing as a program, you're not taking away from me. Even if somebody goes to your program, I still have a lot of people to work from. But you're going to reach people that I will never meet until you bring them to our track meets. So from a business standpoint, if I can get you to be as big as me, it's going to be a win-win situation. There's a lot of responsibility from the standpoint of people are always looking at you. I don't care what the situation is, people are going to look at you and see how you react to things. One of the things that I was able to understand, and this came from Dee Dee Nathan. Dee Dee Nathan came up with brought the philosophy to us that we can't be there for everybody. Everybody's not going to want to do the things that we want them to do to be a cheetah. So we appreciate the fact that there's other clubs out there that are alternatives for, if someone doesn't want to be with the Cheetahs, they can go be with another club. So the challenges that we come up with are that everyone has an idea of what their child should or shouldn't be able to do. And that idea doesn't always meet or fit the idea that we have. And who's to say who's right or wrong? But all I know is that our program is geared to do certain things and to get certain things out of kids. Well, when parents don't agree with us, and I try not to take it personally, but I always try to tell people, parents are always going to try to do what's best for their kids. They're not going to try to hurt their kids. And if they take them away from the Cheetahs, it's because they really believe that there's a better option for them. So that's okay. But we try to make sure that people understand this is who we are. We're going to operate with integrity. We're not going to put winning as first. Winning is not going to be the most important thing. I always try to tell parents that I don't care what you did in college or what you did in high school, your day's over. Your child may not have the same abilities. They may not have the same body type. But what they're going to do is they're going to be better coached as young kids than the parents were as young kids. Our coaching staff, we have a tremendous coaching staff, and we do techniques that they're done at the Olympic level. So we know that what we do works, but it may not fit what they did growing up. We teach our kids to long jump and land on their butts. Technically, they're landing on their feet, but their knees are up and they end up on their butt. That's been a disagreement point for some people because I ran track in high school and I jumped and landed on my feet. Well, that's how you did it. But what we are taught is what was done in the Olympics. That's what Dee Dee Nathan did for us. So the biggest challenge is just making sure that we stay true to who we are and stay true to what our focus is and don't let any outside influences determine what we're going to be. Real simple. I'm a Christian. I try to act like one. I don't always do it. I don't always get there. Heck, you and I had a falling out, and you made me act like a Christian. and that's where I'm saying I'm not perfect. I make mistakes, but I'm working on things. I'm always trying to get better. We end all of our practices with a chant every day and every way. We get better and better. Well, we didn't make that up. A coach from Ben Davis brought that to us when he was coaching for us. But it's something that we live by. Every day, in every way, we get better and better. I'm not a finished product. God is still working with me, but I'm better than what I used to be. and that's what it is, man. Just trying to get better.
Mr. Edwards, I want to thank you for this awesome interview. This is going to touch a lot of people in the track and field world, especially me, doing the interview. And I just want to thank you for everything that you have done for my family and I. And going forward, I appreciate you even offering me the opportunity to even work with you. This is Athletes Lives Network. Once an athlete, always an athlete.
Thank you, Carl.